ask some questions or something.
So you're gonna be looking at the camera though while I ask?
Yeah, it might not look directly in it, but towards it. All right, I'm ready.
All right, cool. I'm gonna just ask and then just whatever comes to mind. So what is the black standard? Or you want me to say black standard or well standard or?
Black standard, fine.
Okay,
I mean, shit, whatever question. A black standard is about creating a system of accountability. You understand me? That represents what we mean when we say that we black. You understand me?
So real quick, my fault. Let me just hear you just say something real quick.
Testing 1919. All right.
All right, cool. So what is the black standard?
The black standard is about creating a system of accountability of what it means to call yourself black. You understand me? And a higher standard of what we represent and how we think. So let's say that, you know, what's the black standard towards eating right? You understand me? And that's creating a health standard, things that protect our immune system. You understand me? Making sure that we have a nutrient-based diet, you feel me, to where, you know, the people that's coming out that households are not getting chronic illnesses because they run in the family. You understand me? When in reality, that we know that those chronic illnesses are happening because we're eating inflammatory plates. So now that we have this knowledge of it, you understand me, the black standard is to eat healthy. The black standard is to make sure that, you know, cancer and diabetes and arthritis and a multitude of other things no longer run in the family because they don't run in the habits of the family. You understand me? So, you know, learning how to eat to live instead of living to eat, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad put it. You understand me? The same thing with what's the black standard when it comes towards protection. Number one, we have to train. You understand me? And so training looks like just what I said, whether it's combat, whether it's tactical, whether it's field, whether it's survival training, that when we realize that we are in a war, you understand me, that we're losing, and it's because we're not participating as combatants in that war, and we're not training. We soft targets. And when we train, we decrease the ability for the enemy to be able to, you know, harm us. So if we consider ourselves to be at war, why aren't we training? You understand me? So that when we're combated with a threat, or we're confronted with a threat, we have the ability to annihilate that threat, or at least confidently be able to deal with it. So every man, woman, and child should be out here training. What is the black standard when it comes to hip hop? There is no standard whatsoever. Like, anybody can become a rapper and can become famous. Like right now we have 6ix9ine, he's a famous snitch. You understand me? And or somebody can just come in and talk about killing niggas, pimping bitches, you understand me, and robbing and murder and all kind of crazy stuff. But there's no standard to say that, oh no, we don't allow that in hip hop. You know, there's certain things that we don't support when you rap about. No, anybody can come because there's no standard. So where there's no standard, you can have no expectations because there's no system of accountability. So it's really putting us in this mindset to say that the standards is what leads us. You understand me? What is the black standard towards leadership? Is that you create a black standard rather than having to consistently look for one person that mobilizes everything. So know that you are your own leader. You understand me? That you have to be the one that saves yourself, but that means that you have to qualify yourself, because that's what training does. Training is qualifying oneself. So that when you train yourself, you're qualifying yourself to lead yourself, and also understanding that, you know, what is the black standard towards wealth? And that's when we get into the wealth standard. It's saying that, look, in the Asian community, how many leaders in the Asian community? They don't have to have leaders because they have standards. So their leadership and their route to wealth is not through entertainment, you understand me, in sports. No, they say, we go utilize education. We go utilize our family model. We go work together. We go mobilize, we go build, we go organize. So, creating a black standard is creating that system of accountability, you understand me, and that level of awareness to where, yes, if you consider yourself to be black, and by black, I'm not talking nationality, I'm talking about your mindset, And so we are the original people on this planet Earth. So let's get back to our original nature of being able to take care of ourselves. We know that the system and structures come from us. Why not step back into that mastery? So when we talk about protesting, when we talk about injustices and things of that nature, we don't just utilize old reference models of paradigms that worked before or that we've seen, okay, well, they marched, we go march. They protested this way, we go protest. No, we uphold a new standard. No, the black standard is a higher standard. So we learn from every other piece of society and we say, you know what? We're going to take us from the bottom, lower rungs of society and we're going to make the standard this high excellence now. We're going to make the standard what we say we believe we are. We talk about we gods and original people on this planet Earth. Well, why not move according to that standard so that you can reposition yourself back into the standard of the original man and original woman?
Steve,
Hey.
I feel like that one question was like, I'm trying to think of other questions. 'Cause I feel like I had plenty of conversations, so I'm trying to put myself in a position of like meeting you for the first time or something.
Yeah.
Along those lines, you know what I'm saying? So like, for instance, let's say for instance, someone out there, whether they're black or not black, like, what if they don't? What am I trying to say? The question is like, but I feel like you kind of answered it because my question is gonna be something along the lines of like, why do we need a black standard? But I feel like you kind of answered that in that question.
Right.
But maybe even then I'm trying to convert it into like a question that's just not even just in America, because even you being American, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I feel like you touched on it a little bit in that on the couch, but like, how can you touch on the black standard in terms of like a global situation? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how to question it.
No, I get it. So like, I talked about the Asian standard, right? Now, the Asian household, you understand me, and just the Pacific Asian period, they're the fastest growing income group or wealth group in the world right now, right? So if we're looking at it from a worldly model, then that's who we're going to start modeling and structuring are some of the things that we do globally, right? So as I'm speaking to my people, and if my people at the bottom, you understand me, and if you raise that at the bottom, everything else raises as well. So anybody that's in a power's position, if you look at, black people in America in the way that we able to get ourselves upward, then of course that works for you in your position as well. You just have to tailor that to your circumstances. So I'm only speaking from the circumstances as an original man because I'm still a part of a people who are at the bottom. You understand me? So it's different than speaking from a position to say that, okay, we've got our wealth standard now. We've done it. We taught our people how to get backed by gold. We taught our people how to get into ownership and how to get into equity and how to leverage those positions and things of that nature. Now, because our people have done this, let me go teach the rest of the world. I was listening to a Jewish man and he was talking about how Hitler was able to take Germany in 6 years from when he got into his political position into one of the wealthiest economies in the world. And he did that by stopping the money lenders. He did that by stopping any sexual deviancy and like closing down bars and getting rid of the porn industries and a bunch of different stuff that he was doing, the sex worker industry back in those days. And he was taking a look at it from a model of an economist theory. You understand me? And understanding that why is the economy consistently falling, and why is it being destroyed? And what would be the ultimate fall of this economy? And that the money lenders at the time, which were Jews, and the owners of these bars and things of that nature, these were Jews. And this is this Jewish man explaining Hitler and the Holocaust. And he was explaining that, because they was putting so much interest on the money, that it was decreasing the purchasing power of the people, you understand me? And it was limiting the circulation, you understand me, the economy. And that these small businesses can't grow because the food costs so much. The inflation was so high that the average person can't afford as much. So that limit on society was being done by the greedy. You understand me? That they want to own everything. They putting all this interest on top of things. So of course they have a law that they can't charge interest to another Jew. You understand me? And that those who charge interest, and in Islam, you're not supposed to, be a loan shark. You're not supposed to lend money with interest on it and things of that nature. But understanding that from an economic standpoint is that even within our own economy as blacks in America, or even as a diaspora globally, that we shouldn't charge each other interest. That we should, and that interest don't just represent, okay, I put 20% on top of this loan fee. What I mean interest as well is like, we got to give each other the best price on everything that we do. Because the more we share with each other, we extend that wealth. You know, in Greenwood, Tulsa, Oklahoma, they said the dollar circulated, you understand me, 19 times, it exchanged hands 19 times before it left that community. You understand me? And we have to create that as our standard. And so when I look at every other community, I have no problem with the Asian community saying that we gonna circulate it 30 times before it leaves, 100 times, however. You understand me? That's fine. Whether you are in, you know, Africa on the continent level and you're trying to figure out, okay, what's our wealth standard? Well, technology, right? So technology creates this free economy to where everybody has access to the same wealth. You know, that you can learn a certain skill set and you can circulate income in the economy that's not normally there or afforded. You understand me? So it's like skill set diversification is a universal model for a wealth standard, you know, and also getting into the industries that are booming right now. And the tech industry is a very secure industry right now because it's going to continue to have expansion and growth. So that means that a lot of our skill sets should be towards tech. That's why we have the Mass Skills Lab that we opening up. Mobilization, automation, digitization. Teaching coding, teaching augmented reality. You understand me, that in this digital era, what people need to do, they need to make more digital assets for their business because everybody can't come in person, but they need to get a way to where they can make a decision to buy your product without actually having to be there physically because they're shopping more in the digital space. So that means that if we I went to Orange Farm in South Africa and it was hundreds and hundreds of children running around. They were telling me they just got out of school, right? But they didn't have any computers in school. They weren't being taught tech. They weren't being taught any online skills or anything of that nature. And this is a very impoverished, you understand me, community from what I experienced there. And they had land out there that they really could just start taking over because it was a brother who was he went to school for engineering and he stayed behind in that neighborhood. You know what I mean? Even though he probably could have got a job at a big corporation, but he wanted to build his own science and technology center there. You understand me? And he started building it hand by hand. You understand me? He cleaned up the little water well over there, and he was saying that he was once doing farming to where he was feeding hundreds of families because the land is so fertile and that it's not owned by anybody. You understand me? So you can actually just take it over and start utilizing it, then pay for it afterwards. But when you giving people a standard, be like, all right, this is going to be your plan towards wealth. Teach all of these children technical skills. Teach all these children digital skills. So guess what? You can have 100 children that's just learning tech skills at this school. Now they're doing tech support like on Fiverr. You understand me? And you don't even know that the person that's building your app, you don't know the person that's creating your online flyer is some child in Orange Farm, South Africa the whole entire time. And now you're not worrying about, oh, mom and pops ain't got no money because of how the economy and there's no jobs and, you know, the unemployment rate is one of the highest in the world, things of that nature. No, you're saying that, look, I got a skill set that's gonna pay me. Skill-based income. So skill-based income is a universal model that everybody can use in each household all around the world, facilitating that, especially with this third industrial revolution. You understand me? Understanding this internet age and the type of economy that we have set up and saying that, look, this is how everybody can start moving towards wealth. Why? Because if you go to Shenzhen, China, and what they've been able to do over the last decade and being able to create billionaires off of these tech skills, then it's saying that we can look at models and wealth standards all across the world and we can utilize that to say this is how we become effective, you know? And I don't believe in a model that everybody can't be an entrepreneur, because when you understand what entrepreneurship is, when you understand what business is, you're facilitating and producing value. You're facilitating and solving problems. So everybody can be qualified to be a problem solver. You understand me? And nobody said you got to be a 7-figure business or a 6-figure business. Hell, it could be a 5-figure business, you know, but that's adding to supplement your income in case things go wrong, and things always go wrong. You understand me? That's Murphy's Law. Whatever can go wrong will go wrong.
So, like, yeah, I feel like you started touching on it, so I was going to ask a question. Like, that's what I was going to ask next, was like, for those that might be on the fence with joining the movement or joining your class, like, what their thought process? I'm not an entrepreneur, or I'm not really. They might think from outside looking in, it's like this like an activist movement.
Right.
So I'm not an activist. I'm not an entrepreneur. I'm just comfortable with my day job, or like I feel like the country is fine the way it is. Like what do you have to say for those that don't see, that this could fit for them? Like, well, if you see it that way, you know what I'm saying? Like,
one thing I would like to say is, everybody's an activist. Activist is one who activates the people. You understand me? Or everybody can be an activist or should be an activist. Even if it's just an activist for yourself or your people, how do you activate the people in some sort of sense of manner? How do you activate your own life? You have to be an activist against your own poverty. You have to be an activist against your own oppression. You have to be an activist against your own ignorance. So if you consider yourself and you stop getting caught up in the connotation of words that society gives them, and you add something negative as a position towards it, it allows you to be more open towards things. And you stop limiting your opportunities because you allow yourself to interact with all of them instead of saying some of them are not for me. I never want to be part of the some people, number one. But number two, no, it's not about activism in that sense. Listen, 50% of America is financially illiterate, and that number, I'm sure is really higher. And that number is considering all of America, but when you look at especially the minority groups, so-called minority groups, blacks in America particularly, we know that number is higher. 90% of crimes, you understand me, are money related, and we know that there is a link, you understand me, between a crime and poverty, And so our ignorance of the financial systems, as we live in a capitalist America, we live under a corporation in America, which is called the United States. You understand me, that if we don't have a level of knowledge and awareness towards these systems, we can never navigate these systems to really get to freedom. So it's like Kanye West said, the statement, right? He blunted and blundered into the statement that Harriet Tubman didn't free black people. She only freed them to go work for other white folks. Now, in the context, he's wrong. She got them off the plantation. She risked her life. She's one of the greatest heroes to ever exist in the world. You understand me? When you want to go throughout history, her story is beautiful. You understand me? What she risked and sacrificed for our people, even after being hit in the head and suffering, you understand me, from a mental health issue herself. So she deserves all honors and respect. But when we look at it in 2020, and we look at the position that black people are in America with 0% wealth, and we're working for white folks in America. You understand me, that even when we go and get education, that our education doesn't afford us the same opportunities as somebody with the same exact degree, and the fact that we don't have ownership, it means that we still on that slave ship, that slave ship that named Jesus that brought us over here back in the day. And so we know that Jesus ain't gonna save us, not in the sense that they told us in the church. So that means that we have to create our own new Jesus standard. We got to create our own standard of what does it mean to be free. Because my philosophy is that if somebody has to tell you free, you're not free. The only way you can ever be free is if you free yourself. So there was many slaves throughout that time that freed themselves, that decided that I want to do Nat Turner. You understand me? I want to go actually kill my masters. And it's levels to freedom. So it's like, okay, you working on, you let's say, you get to the slave ship. They got you planking on the slave ship. You understand me? You packed in there like sardines. You can't wait to get off. You know what I mean? Now, when you get off, cool, you can stand up. That's a level of freedom, But now they weighing you, you understand me, degrading you, demeaning you, and preparing you to work on the plantation, to be sold as stock. That's where the real stock market started. You understand me? And they branding you. That's where that marketing started in America. You understand me? And now, okay, cool. You go from that position, now you're on the plantation working, you in the field, right? Hot all day, picking up this cotton, hands bleeding. You understand me? You want freedom for the sun. They pick one of y'all to go inside the house to become a house slave. You understand me? Now you feel like you're in a better position. You feel like you're a higher level of slave. You understand me? Only to realize you're going to be at a sex slave once you're in that house. You understand me? A foot soldier to the slave master. You understand me? So let's say that Harriet comes and she say, look, we got this underground railroad. She tells the house slave and the field slave the same thing. Field slave's like, man, I'm with it, let's do it. House slave like, nah, man, master, I don't know. He go catch us. Master's treating us pretty good. You understand me now? The way it goes is that shit, she put that shotgun out because when she told you, ain't no turning back. You understand me? Either you coming or you getting gunned. So you go and you fighting on your road towards freedom, you know, and you going through the dogs, the slave catchers, you know, you got to make sure y'all got the pepper so that the dogs don't catch your scent. You feel me? And to me, that's kind of like entrepreneurship, that you got to do all these things to try to get you to that escape route and that eventual financial freedom so that you can have your own position over self, right? So let's say you get all the way up to the north, you know, to where you can decide whether you want to go work for a white folk or not, or you can decide to where you can try to figure out how to work for yourself and build you a business, you know. And let's say you get to that point where, you know, you build you a business, or you realize that, wait a minute, even after they so-called freed the citizens or the slaves, that they started sharecropping, and they didn't even have freedom in that because they got put into debt and they was in a further bondage system. But then let's say if you managed to kill your master and you managed to get to the north, to get to some freedom, now you got to learn how to protect it. So that's another level of freedom that you got to be able to have. You know, so the point of it is that there's levels to freedom, you know, and that the more that you own and the more responsibility you take over the self, now the more accountability you have towards governing your own freedom, you know. And how do you govern that? If this slave don't have resources, now he got to go, let's say he build up some industry, he got him a store. What if he got to get all his supplies from a white man? You know, that's not a level of freedom. You know, that's why we talk about vertical integration, owning the whole supply chain. And then we talk about lateral infrastructure, saying that maybe I don't own it, but the people I do get it from, or the people that I do share resources, those are all black people. Those are all other fellow free, you understand me, human beings. So when we talk about what true freedom is, and we look at the debt, we look at the private prison industry, and we look at the prison industry period, that represents, you understand me, that there's 1 million slaves in America by the 13th Amendment. And then when we understand the Constitution never gave black people, you understand me, rights in America as free people with natural rights. That's why they have to continuously always reestablish voting rights for us in America, because those are not rights that we have given through constitutional law. You know, so freedom has not been afforded to the black man and woman in America. We haven't been free in this country a day. And it doesn't happen until we free ourselves. And that's why having the wealth standard is so important, because it allows us to have the knowledge to free ourselves, understanding the money markets, understanding the system, understanding the corporation of America, its laws, and understanding what true freedom looks like, and having a plan towards to finally say, we freed ourselves. Because as long as we telling our children today that the slave masters freed us, it means he still has the power to enslave us.
True. Let me check the camera quick. I have another question. Yeah, so this question might be for like the younger people, you know what I'm saying? Because Trump's been in office going on 4 years now. So like, some of these people were like 14 when he first became president, you know what I'm saying? So they're young coming into this. So like, my next question is like, it kind of sounds like the last question I just asked, but it's like, what if their mindset is like, well,
hold on, let me change my crown. Okay. Hold on, just ask me free fall. I want to go into it. It's cool. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna change the shirt.